Hey guys, what's up? Emo Cat Dad here, hanging out with you, bringing you yet another edition of Emo Cat Dad Listens. If you're new here, then what it is I do is every day of 2024, I about check out a new band or artist. Check out 4 songs from across their discography, give you my initial thoughts on those songs, give you my ranking of the songs, and then, of course, give you my overall thoughts on the band or artist. As you can see right there, today's artist is Teddy Swims. Now, I am familiar with Teddy Swims, but not familiar at the same time. So let me explain. I'm a big Issues fan. You know the band, they were together, and then they were ramping up for some stuff going into COVID, and then they found out their singer was a piece of crap. Yeah, that band. But prior, they had an unclean vocalist named Michael Bond. Now, Michael Bond was kicked out of Issues. A lot of people think unfairly so. I don't know enough about the situation. Honestly, my understanding was just that they wanted to get away from the screaming, so they didn't want to have a full-time screamer. The album before they kicked him out, they had him do some singing, and honestly, he was like a pretty okay singer, so I just don't know why he just didn't continue with that arrangement. But anyways, they decided to go a different route. Michael was silent for a little bit, but he had joined this band as a drummer. I believe they were called Wild Heart. And the singer of that band, one Teddy Swims. I listened to some Wild Heart. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought, it was very Issues-like because Teddy Swims had a very, pop R&B style vocal like Tyler Carter. However, there was more grit in his voice. So, unfortunately, after that, I didn't keep up. Wild Heart eventually went their separate ways. Michael Bond joined back up with Woe Is Me, his original band, and Teddy Swims clearly went solo and blew up because of it. So this was a suggestion from one of you guys, so please get in the comments now and leave me other bands or artists I absolutely need to check out. If you can't think of any right now, that's fine. The comment section's not going anywhere, so just if something pops up while watching this, just go down there and put it at that point. You don't need me to tell you what to do anyways. I'm not your dad, I'm just your Emo Cat Dad. So without any further ado, let's dive in to Teddy Swims. Alright, so Teddy's released a number of singles and EPs prior to his debut album, which seems to be what has blown him up, really off the strength of one single. So we're going to get to that one single, but let's check out some EP tracks first. The first EP appears to be titled Unlearning from 2021, and I checked out the track Bed on Fire. Okay, so the vocals are off the charts good. It's been a while since I've listened to Wild Heart, and I remember thinking he was a good vocalist, but I don't remember thinking he was this good of a vocalist. So I think he made the right decision for his career, to say the least. Once the drums pop in on the second verse, gives a whole new element to the song. Beforehand, it was just kind of like a soft vocal performance, which I was digging. But once the drums picked up, I was like, okay, now this is a mid-tempo bop. So I'm all in. I love me some mid-tempo bangers, and that's exactly what the song delivers once those drums pick up in the second verse. The lyrics do repeat quite a bit, but honestly, I love the melody so much where the lyrics do repeat in the chorus that doesn't bother me nearly as much as it would normally. Alright, next up was 2022's EP Tough Love, and I checked out 911. Just can't sleep, and I'll slide through for you with it. Okay, so since we're on the topic of lyric repetition, apart from the right away section, it doesn't really repeat. It's mostly used as a background vocal, but still very prevalent in the mix, so that did bug me a little more than the repetition on the last one, despite it not being as much. Musically, this is more of a Motown dance track. I do love when pop songs fuse a little bit of Motown in there, and this track does it pretty well. I just wish we had more guitar and drum in the forefront. Alright, that same year, Teddy Swims was a busy guy, clearly. He released another EP called Sleep is Exhausting, and I checked out the track Dose. Once again, the song lyrically is sunk by one section that repeats a lot that I don't really enjoy, and that's the AAA. Just didn't work for me. But what did work is Teddy Swims' vocals. Once again, all these songs have been vocally strong. So it's impressive that I'm saying this right now, is that this is probably the best vocal performance on any of these tracks. This track off his debut album, I've Tried Everything But Therapy, Part 1, Lose Control. Right in front of you, can't you see? Alright, scratch what I just said about best vocal performance in Dose, because Lose Control takes it. And honestly, it takes it by a mile. And that's not because any of these other songs were subpar. That's the crazy part. Like, his vocals just keep getting better and better. And the keys on this track are perfection. It's the perfect backdrop to this track musically. It works so well for this like slow R&B style. Really dug it. Cannot say enough good things about it. Alright, so those are 4 tracks I checked out. Let's go ahead and rank them. Starting at number 1, we're getting controversial. Bed on Fire. That's right. Not Lose Control. Bed on Fire. I love me some mid-tempo bops. That's what this song was. If a song can make me forget that I don't like repeating lyrics because the melody is so catchy, that gets a big W. At number 2, Lose Control. Of course, you guys knew this. You guys are probably shocked this isn't number 1. But ultimately, I just like the music in Bed on Fire a little bit better. I said the keys were a perfect backdrop to the song, and they are. There's no denying that. But, you know, a little bit of guitar or drum parts wouldn't hurt it. And ultimately, that's the music I like to hear more, so that's got Bed on Fire ahead of it. At 3, we're going 911. I don't really have anything negative to say about this track, apart from that it was definitely weaker than the other 2. I will say this song gave us a different sound, whereas the others were mostly like slow R&B tracks, with the exception of Bed on Fire giving us that little bit of drums for the, final 2/3. This one was straight up like dancey Motown song. It's a sound that I hadn't heard on any of these other tracks, so I appreciate the swing he made, and honestly, it still worked. And at 4, Dose. I said this was the second best vocal performance ultimately, but the musicianship just wasn't there. It was kind of just like that first part of Bed on Fire. It wasn't nearly as interesting as what these other tracks had going on, so ultimately it falls in the bottom, and especially since it was one of the 2 tracks that had the lyrics repeating that I did not enjoy, which ended up being the 3rd and 4th. So we're splitting hairs at the bottom, but that's oftentimes what it comes down to. But still, good song overall. Alright, so those are my thoughts on the tracks. Let's get to my thoughts on Teddy Swims as an artist. Teddy Swims is a pretty good songwriter, I'd say. His lyrics do get repetitive in parts, which do bug me. But I do find it interesting that all 4 of these tracks were about love and being in love, but from 2 completely separate sides of the coin. Whereas Dose and 911 were more like, I'll do anything for you, I love being around you. Bed on Fire and Lose Control give us kind of the dark side of that. Bed on Fire was, loving someone so much that you have to trust them completely, but being afraid of giving someone that much trust and going through kind of a worst case scenario. Whereas Lose Control is kind of being concerned that you're so in love that you won't be able to do what you need to do. So I love the duality in the songwriting between those 2. It seems like he writes a lot about love, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not one of those people that are like, Taylor Swift only writes about her breakups. I don't care. Write about love. Love's what you feel, whether it's heartbreak or actual love. Go nuts. I enjoyed these tracks for what they are. His vocals are amazing. He could honestly sing the phone book, and I think I might just listen to it. For those younger people watching, a phone book was a giant book that we used to get every year that had all the people's phone numbers in there and company phone numbers, so that we knew where to call. If we were looking for a plumber, you could look up plumbers. Or if you're looking up your friend John Smith, you go to the Smiths, look for John, and their phone number's there. Alright guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad. I am not in the phone book, but I am right here on YouTube, so please come on back tomorrow when I'll do another Emo Cat Dad listens. Maybe it'll be one of the suggestions that you left in the comments below. Friendly reminder, if you haven't left any yet, please do so now. I would appreciate it oh so much. We're on day 130 something, so still got a lot more days to go to get to 366, because this is leap year. I did not think that through when I did this. But while you're in the comments leaving me a suggestion, please leave me your thoughts on Teddy Swims. Have you heard anything by him? Is Lose Control the bop of the year? Or is it just not for you? Let me know all that below. Most importantly, I want you to come on back to see if I do your suggestions. And the best way to do that is if you simply cut my wrist and hit subscribe. Emo Cat Dad signing off for now, but until tomorrow, I want to hear you sad.